So good morning, everyone. Welcome to this Autism Training and Technical Assistance Project webinar. My name is Kirsten Bayer, and I'm with the Illinois Center for Specialized Professional Support at Illinois State University. I will be your moderator for today's webinar. Today's monthly webinar for our ADA project is titled Relentless, Dreams, Goals, and Aspirations, and we're joined by Anthony Iani. I believe I pronounced that right, Anthony. You might have to correct me.
You did.
Okay, perfect. And he will introduce himself here in a second. Before we get started with Anthony, though, I want to go over a couple of housekeeping things. So again, my name is Kirsten Bayer, and I'm the Assistant Director of Communications here at ICSPS. Feel free to email me if you have any questions after the webinar regarding any kind of follow-up information or our autism training and technical assistance project. I'd be happy to help you answer any questions or any collaborations that you might want to address. A little bit about our autism training and technical assistance project, otherwise known as ADA. We develop and present resources that assist individuals with autism or autistic individuals in their transition from secondary education to either post-secondary or to employment. So our stakeholders include employers, families, parents, the individuals with autism or the autistic individuals, students, community-based organizations, but we specifically focus on the transitional piece. So that how do we support parents and individuals with autism and autistic individuals in their transition from the secondary system where they receive a lot of support to the post-secondary system or to employment where the support that they receive isn't as structured as the secondary system is. So we provide training and support to all of our important stakeholders to provide that equitable experience for individuals on the spectrum. Our center, otherwise known as ICSPS, we are housed at Illinois State University. We were founded in 1977. We are a part of the EAF department, or the Educational Administration and Foundations Department, housed within the College of Education at ISU. We provide professional development. We create professional development and resources and supports. We collaborate with other centers and projects regarding individuals with autism. We actually are having a one-day autism conference this upcoming April. We had it last year as well, so we're going to be having that again this upcoming year. So be on the lookout for that for registration. It's going to be a hybrid conference, so it will be in person with some virtual components. So you can be on the lookout for that. But we develop publications and facilitate improvement strategies, specifically, like I said, focusing on college transition or transition to employment, and then recruitment, retention, and completion. We have multiple projects under our center, but ADA is very near and dear to our heart. We've had it for close to 10 years now, so we've been on this project for quite some time. Our ADA project does have its own website, so you can actually find the recording from today. We are recording today's webinar and the presentation from today on our website. Please allow 48 working business hours to get those resources up on our website for it to populate through the web and also for us to edit the recording. So autismcollegeandcareer.com is where you can find all the information. We have multiple resources. It's organized by stakeholder on our website, and you can visit there and click monthly webinar series, and that's where you can find the recording. You'll also get that hyperlink in a follow-up email tomorrow. So it'll be easily accessible for you as well. And also in the follow-up email, you'll receive a follow-up survey. We do encourage your participation in this survey. I am a part of the ADA professional development team, and I specifically go through all of the follow-up surveys to collect the data on how the webinars are doing. But also there's a question on our survey about any potential topics that you would like to hear. So we always want to meet the system where they are at. So if there is a topic that is in the system that you really would like some professional development on, and maybe your department isn't providing professional development on it, or you're an employer and you want more resources on hiring individuals with autism, whatever your needs may be, we want to meet the system where they're at, so or where you all are at. So if you have any professional development suggestions, we welcome that on the that survey as well. And we do read them and go through them. I also wanted to note a housekeeping item that we do have closed captioning on today for accessibility reasons, so feel free to turn that on. And then we are on Zoom webinar today. And what that means for you as an attendee is that you do not have access to a microphone or a camera. So we do encourage your participation though. We would love if you would participate via the chat or the Q&A with us, and we will be moderating that and facilitating that. Please post any questions or comments in there, and I'll open that up to everyone now. So everyone should be able to chat now. I think it was turned off, but I just turned it on for you all. And then we also are going to do our beginning polls. We look at this data for out of professional development on our committee. So both of them are launched to you now. The first one is, which region are you located in? So you should be able to answer that. And then the second one is, which ADA stakeholder do you represent? So you should be able to answer the second one as well. And those are open to you now. So please feel free to answer, and we'll give everyone a couple of maybe a minute and a half roughly to answer those. Okay, so it looks like everybody has gone ahead and answered. We still have a couple people trickling in, but I will go ahead and end the poll and share the results so we can debrief. We have mostly people from Central Illinois and one from Northeast Illinois joining us today. And then we have a secondary educator, a post-secondary educator, a couple of them, a community member, and a family member as well. So welcome. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your participation, and we hope you find this webinar interesting and inspiring. So we're going to hand it off to Anthony, and Anthony, you can share your screen whenever you're ready, and we will be here for support.
Thank you, Kirsten. Well, first and foremost, good morning, everybody. Coming to you live from the great state of Michigan. I know for me, it is a little chilly today. It's actually nice and sunny out today. So I hope everybody has the same weather in the state of Illinois. So welcome to Dreams, Goals, and Aspirations. Again, my name is Anthony Ianni. I am a autism advocate. Not so much a national motivational speaker anymore, mainly because I started a new role at a elementary middle school here in Metro Detroit. I'm now the Dean of Culture over about elementary middle school that I started a couple months ago. I'm loving every second of my job. I love continuing my work with kids and teachers. I'm a bachelor's degree in sociology from Michigan State University, and I'm also working on getting into grad school to go get my master's in higher education administration. So staying very, very busy these days. So let's go and get right to it. All right, just a little bit about myself. So when I was 4 years old, I was diagnosed with pervasive developmental disorder, which is on the autism spectrum. And during that time, that was in 1993 when I was diagnosed. So during that time period, nobody really knew what autism was. Nobody really knew a lot of the characteristics for it. There was no guidance, pathways, or resources for individuals who were dealing with autism during that time period. And that was more the ADD, ADHD era for a diagnosis during that time. So my diagnosis was very, very rare. A year later, when I was 5 years old, a group of doctors and professionals had told my parents these words in a private meeting. Basically, they told my parents that I would barely graduate from high school, never graduate or go to college. I wouldn't be an athlete. I come from a family of athletes, and I would likely end up in a group institution with other individuals just like myself. I wasn't told this story to my freshman year in high school. So that kind of became my motivation to go out and prove those people and then the other doubters and naysayers that have my life wrong. I had to work hard at everything from basketball to my social life and especially school because I'm not afraid to admit this. I was not the smartest kid that went to my high school. I wasn't. I had good grades. I had some bad grades here and there, but that's because each and every single day for me was a different day with an even more difficult challenge. but I had great teachers who sacrificed and supported a lot for me to help me get through those tough days and challenges, but more importantly, help me become the best student that I could possibly be. But throughout life, it wasn't just teachers that always supported me. It was my friends, coaches, teammates, and family. So, what were the results? The results were I ended up graduating from Okemos High School, which is in the Lansing area near our state capital. Graduated from Okemos High School in 2007, where I then went on to Grand Valley State University on a full ride scholarship for basketball. Now, after things just didn't work out for me at Grand Valley State, I decided to transfer to fulfill my lifelong dream, the dream of playing for a certain coach at a certain university. So I ended up transferring to go play for Coach Tom Izzo in the Michigan State Spartans. Go Green. If we have any Illinois fans on here, ILLINI. My oldest son, who's 8 years old, which you'll hear about him more here in a little bit. For whatever reason, he loves Illinois basketball. He loves Illinois football. So you have Illinois Fighting Illini fan here in the state of Illinois, in the state of Michigan. So yes, I went on to play for Coach Tom Izzo in the Michigan State Spartans, where I was a walk-on for 2 years. My senior year, I was awarded a full ride scholarship. I was part of two Big Ten championship teams, a team that won the Big Ten tournament title, a team that went to a Final Four, and I got to play with an outstanding group of individuals who, to this day, I'm proud to call each and every single one of those guys my brothers. But during my time at Michigan State, I was able to accomplish two things that I'm very, very proud of to this day. The first accomplishment is during my time at Michigan State, I actually became the first Division I college basketball player in NCAA history with an autism diagnosis. So I'm very, very proud of that accomplishment right there, and I always will be. But I think the other accomplishment that I'm most proud of during my time at Michigan State was right here, is when I got my bachelor's degree in sociology from Michigan State and doing something that a lot of other people thought could never be done. So throughout my life, I'd overcome challenges and obstacles, that were bigger than me, greater than me, and definitely much more taller than me. And I'm 6'9" with a size 18 shoe. So, but a lot of folks, so as a national motivational speaker, as an advocate, I still get the opportunity to go all over the country, go to conferences, still have opportunities to do one-on-ones with families and individuals on the spectrum. And a lot of the conversations I have are great conversations. But I think the one question I get asked all the time, other than the question of how tall are you, which again, I'm 6'9". The other question I get asked is how did you get to this point in your life? How did you go from, how did you go from this autism diagnosis to this future prediction to where you're at now? Like, how did you transition in life with autism? And I tell people all the time, just through three very simple ways. And these three simple ways are called the three keys to success in life. Because I've always guaranteed everybody that I've talked to that if you follow these three keys for the rest of your life, not only will you go far in your life and do what you love to do, but I promise and guarantee that these three keys will help you become better as a person. Now, the first key is motivation. Because each and every single day, whenever I woke up, I had this mindset. It was the mindset of, okay, who's going to doubt me today? Who's going to tell me I can't do this? I won't do that because it's impossible or it can't be done. And I tell people all the time, I didn't mind being doubted every single day of my life. I didn't mind it for 1 second. Because as a matter of fact, to this day, I still welcome every doubter and hater in my life with open arms. Because the more and more people that doubted me, the more and more motivated I became. And the more and more motivation I got to want to go out, strive for success, and make a name for myself in life. So, so I could obviously ask the question on here. The obvious question I could ask everybody here is what motivates you every day? That's the obvious question, but I actually want to take it a step further in that. The question I want to ask everybody here is, what are your whys in life? Why do you do what you love to do in life? So for me, for example, I have three whys in life. So I'm gonna start with number one. It always will be number one. My number one why in life is my three kids. My 8-year-old son, Knox, who's my oldest, he's a third grader. My 5-year-old son, Nash, who's a kindergartner, and my 1.5-year-old daughter, Lola. So they are the reason why I get up every day and do what I love to do. So anytime I'm kind of caught or I'm down, I always remind myself, this is why you do what you do in your life. This is why you do what you do as an advocate. This is why you do what you do as a school administrator. The second why in my life is a number, 5.5 million. That is how many people in our country today, ladies and gentlemen, have autism. 5.5 million people. And every day I wake up, I put 5.5 million people on my back every day because I want to continue to represent the autism community with pride, honor, and respect every day. My third why in life are the students and teachers that I got to work with or continue to get to work with. Those are my three whys in life. So, what are your whys in life? And whatever those whys are, write them down. Take a picture of them. Or my personal favorite is what's the first thing we look at when we wake up in the morning? It's these things, right? Our cell phones, because we want to know what's going on in the news world. We want to know what's going on social media. We want to hit that snooze button a couple more times. I'm guilty of that. But the first thing I see when I wake up on my phone, if you could see it, are right there. My three kids. Because I'm constantly reminded every day of why I do what I love to do. And it's because of my kids and my other whys in life. So whatever your whys are in life, use them to the fullest of their ability. Now, but just because I was motivated every day, didn't mean that things were going to be handed to me or given to me. I had to go up, I had to get up, I had to go out, work hard, and earn everything in my life. So hard work, which is the second key. Now, my father taught me a quote that when you all leave this webinar here today, I want you to pass this quote down to your kids, your grandkids, your colleagues, whoever you think could benefit from this quote. And I'm going to share with all of you how powerful this quote is. In November 2012, so about a little over 11 years ago, about 2 weeks when I first started my motivational speaking career, I went to a small town in Bath, Michigan. So, little geography lesson for you here. So this is the state of Michigan. Okay, so right here in the middle, so I live here over in Metro Detroit, and my hometown is about over here, closer toward the middle of the state. Okay, so this is Lansing. So if you go about 20 minutes north on my hand here, you go about 20 minutes north, that's Bath, Michigan. Bath is a very small town, small community. So the middle school I spoke at was Bath Middle School. About 300 total students go to this school. So after I spoke there, I come home 2 weeks later, and on my kitchen table was this big old package of thank you letters from every single student at that school. I stopped what I was doing, put down everything. I sat down, started going through each letter. One letter stood out to me the most because in this letter, the student had shared with me some information I thought a student would never tell me. She told me one of her grades were in one of her classes. Now, remind all of you, I didn't go to Michigan State and get my degree in education. I got in sociology, social science. So at the time, I'm not a teacher, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a principal. So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, why is this student telling me all this private information? This is none of my business. I was going to put the letter away and just be done with it. But I knew something good was going to come out of it. So in this letter, the student had shared with me that one of her grades in one of her classes was a D minus. But she then shared with me she used my father's quote for motivation and inspiration to work harder, not just in school, but to work harder out there in her life. And in 2 weeks, because of this quote, more importantly, because of all the students' hard work, that D minus grade went to a solid B in 2 weeks. And the quote is the harder you work, the more you earn. The harder you work, the more you earn. And that quote, folks, I promise you, it is as true as it could get because my father taught me that quote helped me graduate from high school when everybody told me I wouldn't be able to do it. That quote helped me earn 2 full-ride scholarships for college basketball, and people told me I'll never be an athlete. That quote, in my opinion, helped me graduate from one of the toughest universities in the state of Michigan. And a group of doctors and professionals told my family not only would I never graduate from college, but I wouldn't step foot on a college campus anywhere in our country. That quote helped me and my teammates at Michigan State earn 2 Big Ten championship rings. Now, those rings, that's just proof of what hard work earned us as a team, not as individuals, but as a team. Now, let me share with all of you what I tell individuals, especially my own students every day, what hard work earns them as an individual. Getting good grades in school, that's what hard work earns them. Going through high school, getting a high school diploma is what hard work earns somebody in life. Going to any college that a student wants to go to in the state of Michigan or anywhere in the country, in the state of Illinois, that is what hard work earns somebody. Getting a job, getting paid for that job, and sustaining that job over a certain amount of time, that is what hard work earns an individual in life. Now, just because we are Michigan State, maybe one of the top basketball programs in the entire country, and we are, don't deny it. We got a big game tonight against Duke, so I'm hoping we take care of business. But the point is, just because we are Michigan State, doesn't mean that for 1 second, every time we walk into somebody's gym or somebody's arena, that people were automatically going to get scared of us. I can tell you all for a fact, nobody ever got scared of us when I was at Michigan State. Nobody. Because we had to go out every day and every night and earn everybody's respect around the country. But there was one thing, though, that we loved about each other as teammates at Michigan State. It wasn't how many championships we won, how many Final Fours we had gone to. It was about how much support and respect that we had for one another, no matter what. Now, we didn't care where our teammates came from. We didn't care if they came from Detroit, Chicago, Cleveland, New York, Indianapolis. Didn't matter to us. More importantly, we did not care if our teammates were black and white. The only thing we cared about was this: just having each other's backs no matter what, supporting each other through good times and in bad times, and always respecting one another no matter what. And that's what I'm going to tell everybody here today: as to cherish every moment, every day with your friends. Cherish every moment, every day with your friends. So, my friends, all the way from elementary school to college to this day, I cherish every second, minute, hour, day, week, month, and year with all of them, but not just with all my friends, with all my teammates. Any chance I get to go back to Michigan State and see some of my old teammates at our reunions every year, anytime I get the chance to go see my old coaches, I cherish every moment with them. So, on here on my screen, if you can see my cursor here, so right here is one of my best friends from high school. This is the day he got married. I was the best man at his wedding. Up here on the right hand corner is my buddy Scott, my buddy Mike. Mike was my roommate when I was in college. He was the best man in my wedding a while back. And then right here at the bottom are my old teammates, Brandon Dawson from Gary, Indiana, Brandon Wood from Kokomo, Indiana, and some of you may recognize this man, you may not. Draymond Green, he was my teammate for 3 years, still good friends to this day, plays for the Golden State Warriors. So cherish every moment, every day with friends, because friends are going to have our back no matter what. And friends are always going to be there for us, and friends will always respect us no matter what. But throughout life, it's not just friends or teammates that have our back and support us. There'll be other groups along the way as well, like teachers, coaches, and family. The third and final key, and in my opinion, the most important key of them all, is support. So I'm going to get right into the nitty gritty here. So you get to hear now more details about my life growing up. So the first group I talk about when it comes to support is family. So right here on the left is my father Greg, my mom Jamie, my sister Allison, and this is after we won the Big Ten tournament title my senior year. And on the right hand side here are me and my three beautiful children. The tall one here is my oldest Knox. This is my little guy Nash, and then my daughter Lola. This is after Nash's preschool graduation last May. So this is my family. So, but like any other family, we all have times where we drive each other nuts. So this is where my sister comes into play. So me and my sister, I love my sister, but when we were kids growing up, my sister and I absolutely despised one another. We couldn't stand each other. And I'm not afraid to admit this. I was the most annoying little brother in the history of little brothers. I swear, I drove my sister so crazy. Like I remember the story like it was yesterday. Now, it's a beautiful day here in the state of Michigan. Okay. It's clear blue skies. It's not windy, it's a little chilly, but think of it as a day like this in the state of Michigan, clear blue skies, but it's spring. Okay. Now, during the spring, if it's like mid 60s outside and it's got a nice breeze, wind's blowing, you want to open up your window, shut off the air conditioning. So this day happened in the spring of 2013. So my sister was just about to leave and go to college. My parents were out shopping at the time. So I was like, okay, I'm opening up all the windows, because one of the many coping mechanisms that I have, which I'll get into momentarily, is I kind of like just sit in silence sometimes, or just listen to the sounds of nature, listen to like cars driving by, trains, whatever. So that's one of the many coping mechanisms I had. So after I opened up all the windows, turned the air conditioning off, I grabbed a nice lemon lime Gatorade out of the fridge. I put it down. I put the TV on mute. I took a sip of that Gatorade and I prop my feet up and I just go, man, this is the life. Nobody's going to touch me. Nobody's going to bother me because mom and dad are out shopping. My sister's upstairs packing up, getting ready to go to college. This is the good life. So after I said all that, my sister walked down the stairs, walked in the living room, and she shut the TV off on me. I immediately sat up, and my first initial thought was, okay, our coat closet is right over here at the front door. In our coat closet right now is a camera crew and Ashton Kutcher from NTV's Punked. They're going to jump out of that closet, live TV, so the entire nation can hear him say to you, Anthony Ianni, you've been punked by your own big sister. How do you feel? When it took me about 10 seconds to realize that was not in the cards, I looked at my sister and I said, really? I haven't even said 5 words to you today. I haven't even annoyed you for 10 seconds. So you mean to tell me you're going to walk down these stairs, walk in this living room like you own the place, like you pay mortgage on the house, And you're really going to do that to your poor baby brother? You're going to shut the TV off on me? And I pulled out the sad puppy face look at everything on her. She just looked at me, turned around, and said, I swear, Anthony, you're the most loving little brother in history. I mean, Anthony, I can't live in the same house as you anymore. Like, you just drive me crazy. I can't take it anymore. I seriously can't. Folks, I didn't just drive my sister nuts. I drove her absolutely crazy. Because again, I made it my own personal goal to annoy the heck out of my sister each and every single day. If I annoyed my sister for 24 hours, 7 days a week, fantastic. It's like I threw my own Christmas, birthday, and New Year's Eve party together. That's how much fun I have with it. But say I failed to annoy my sister for a day, but still a good day at school, good day at basketball. Yeah, I hated those days because I wasn't doing my job as an annoying little brother and annoying my sister every day. But I'm going to share with all of you something that I did for 2 straight weeks. I thought this is something I would have never done as a kid. After my sister left for college, I stayed in her room for 2 weeks straight because I missed her that much. Because it took me 14 years of my life to finally realize how important my only sibling is to me. And this was during a time period, too, where I was going through transitioning in high school, and it was a very difficult and scary time for me, too. Excuse me. So in high school as a freshman, I was 6'6", wore a size 16 shoe, but I kid you not, I was scared of individuals. I was scared of guys at my school who weren't even half my height. And the reason was because they were the football players. They were really big, muscular guys. Me, I was the size of a twig because I did not lift or touch a weight till my freshman year of high school. And I thought the football players wanted to beat me up each and every single day because they were so big and strong and I was skinny. Thankfully, that never happened. I actually became good friends with quite a few of those guys. But still, all the great fun and moments I had as a freshman. Not one time did I get a chance to share those times and moments with my sister. Because my sister started off in college in California, 3,000 miles away from me. Never been that far apart from my sister my entire lifetime. It was really tough for me. It was difficult. But when she came back home, finished her volleyball career at Michigan State, we became closer than ever after that. Basically became best friends. We did a lot of things together. We went to the movies, went to the mall. On the weekend, I go over to her apartment to watch college football, college basketball games. But my sister and I sometimes we would just sit down at our parents' dinner table for 2, 3 hours straight and just talk about life. Because that was a big thing for us, life. Because we went through a lot of the same things together. For example, we were both college athletes. For those of you that don't know this, college athletes live two lives: student and athlete. We had to balance both lives out because if one life took over the other, it was a guarantee that neither one of us were going to make it as college athletes. And the same rules apply for a regular college student too. You got your school life, you got your job life, got to balance it out. Because if one life takes over the other, it is a guarantee that that individual will not make it in college. Because we've all been there before. That's the game called college, right? Got to balance your life out and get yourself ready for the real world. My sister taught me all that. She taught me how to get through the really tough days of being an athlete at Michigan State, taught me how to get through the even harder days of being a student in Michigan State because of all her experiences and everything that she went through. All the times I doubted myself, all the times I questioned whether or not I could do it or make it through in life, who kept picking me up every day? Who kept saying to me, Anthony, you can do this, you will do this. And if you don't believe in yourself, then who will? Who kept pushing me every day? It was my sister. My sister kept pushing me each and every single day because she believed in me no matter what. So even though to this day, my sister's the assistant principal at Okemos High School now, where we both graduated. I'm now, as I mentioned before, I'm the dean of culture out here in Metro Detroit at Bow Elementary Middle School. But just because we're an hour apart doesn't change one thing. Doesn't change the fact that she's still going to protect me. I'm going to protect her, just like how she's going to protect her two nephews and her niece, just like how I'm going to protect my three nieces, her daughters. It'll never change. So the point here I'm making here, folks, is it doesn't matter how annoying your brothers and sisters are to you. And quite frankly, I don't care how annoying you are to them because at the end of the day, you're still family. And just like with all your friends, you cherish every moment, every day with family. And that's why to this day, I continue to thank God for my parents every day because what my parents have done for me, sacrificed for me, they helped raise me to become the man and the person I am today. Now, my parents could have easily just thrown in the towel. The day my parents were told my quote unquote future fate, they could have easily thrown in the towel. Could have listened to those doctors because, again, this was during a time period where there were no pathways, there were no guidance, there were no resources for individuals and families with dealing with autism at that time. Well, let me tell you, my father did. When they got to the third expert, the third doctor in this meeting, my dad cut the person off and said, look, like, I respect what you do, your profession. I respect what you're trying to do for us. But let me tell you what our expectations are for us. Anthony's going to graduate from high school and he's going to go to college. And he's going to graduate from college. And he doesn't have to be a student athlete to do all this. Like if the good Lord wants to bless our son with those gifts and abilities, great, cool. That's a bonus. But he doesn't have to be an athlete to do all these things that you're saying he can't do. So my father told me that story. I said, well, Dad, what do those doctors and experts think about you after that? He said, well, son, I'm pretty sure they probably thought I was on something that day. And so when we both kind of laughed at that, I said, but Dad, like, who's laughing now, right? You and Mom, because of what you've done for me. So what did my parents do to assure a smooth transition for me in schools? So the first thing they did was they spent a great deal of energy trying to find the right preschool environment when we moved to the state of Michigan in 1993. I was actually born in Athens, Ohio. So I was born in Athens, Ohio. We lived in the Plains, Ohio, which is right next door to Athens, for about 4 years. My dad started working at Ohio University in 1982, took a job at his alma mater, Michigan State in 93. Um, so I was in a center-based preschool in Athens, and it did not give me very good results for me to be successful. It did not have a lot of routine. Everything was just kind of up in the air. It was a little bit chaotic. So when we got to the state of Michigan, my parents had me in a developmental preschool lab in Haslet, Michigan, that had a very traditional agenda every day, and that I knew my routine, and I had fewer meltdowns because of the transition time from one activity to another. So this really kind of helped me develop right away as a 4-year-old going through preschool. And then the next piece here we have is when I transitioned to kindergarten in Okemos Public Schools. Um, we were able to meet prior to the start of the school year to put a team together to help me get tested to see what services and accommodations I would need to get through the school system. And this is when my parents had that initial IEP to let them know, like, hey, this is what we see. We see a child with autism. He's not going to be an athlete, not graduate, could be placed in a group home. So that's where it all started right there for my parents, was in this meeting. Um, Next thing here was near the transition of each school year, and for each grade, my parents transitioned. And when my parents transitioned me to the next grade with my next teacher, they already had my desk in place, and I would be seated at the start of the next school year. So during the school year, toward the end of the school year, so say I'm finishing up third grade and I'm about to start fourth grade next year. So what my parapro would do with me was we would go and visit my classroom and my desk of where I'm going to be. So I got accustomed to everything, accustomed to the space, the teacher that I was going to have. And then every grade, every teacher I had was handpicked by a teacher consultant and my mom and the school principal based on the classroom management and the philosophy of that teacher. So there were a lot of different teachers that I was in school with that I could have been with, but I was with a different teacher because they had certain agendas that they would follow where some of the teachers didn't go by an agenda, as far as like we do this at 9:10, we do this at 9:50. So me having that, basically that schedule that says, okay, we're doing this at this time, it really helped me out not have any meltdowns. And a lot of my teachers did a lot of different things too, which I'll get into momentarily. um, and the great thing about a 3-year evaluation IEP was that it fell on the transition years, whereas regular IEPs were every year. So I started kindergarten and then third grade, and then sixth grade is when I transitioned into middle school. And then freshman year, I transitioned from middle school to high school, and then my senior, I'm transitioning from high school to college. So it was definitely a big benefit for us as well. So my parents actually decided that so they sat at my 3-year IEP when I was in sixth grade, moving to sixth grade. I was in a completely new building. The middle school we had was only 6 through 8, and then my elementary building at the time was K through 5. My parents decided I would not. They decided that I would not be retaining my one-on-one parapro. So I had a parapro starting kindergarten, and that went all the way up until fifth grade. But instead, I would be signed a special education teacher consultant, resource room teacher, and my resource room teachers were incredible. And what I loved about both my resource room teachers' classrooms was that their rooms were my safe space. If I ever needed a timeout, if I was going to have a meltdown, like I would go ask my teacher, raise my hand, say, hey, can I go to Mrs. Hall's room, who was my resource room teacher in middle school? Or can I go to Miss Schaefer's classroom, who was my high school resource room teacher? So they knew that was kind of my way of, hey, I need a 5-minute timeout. I need to regroup, regather. Um, and so they were very, very accommodating for that. But the hardest part for our students is that they're trying too hard all day long to be neurotypical, that sometimes they just need a place where they could just be neurodiversity and chill out safely. Because for me, I needed a place just to kind of just be me. Like I just need to be me, do my own thing, and I didn't want to be around everybody. So because I was trying so hard to just like kind of I wouldn't say hide everything, but to keep it all in because I didn't want anybody to notice. I didn't want anybody to ask questions or anything like that, and I didn't want to be treated differently by my classmates. But it's not just me; it's like that for all of our students as well. Let's see here. The transition from high school provided some incredibly difficult social situations because growing up, there were two middle schools in the Okemos Public School District. It was Kennewaw Middle School and Chippewa Middle School. Chippewa is where I went. So our high school at the time, we were merging two large middle schools, and I really struggled with a lot of the language piece and the social piece of high school because you go from a 800 building to 800 6 through 8 building to now a 1600 building of kids who are extremely older than you, a little bit more mature than you are. And so that was very difficult for me. But this is where Miss Schaefer came into play. She was an amazing resource room teacher, an amazing consultant, and she provided me that confidence to thrive at Okemos High School. Because believe it or not, I actually had different students in different grades. So, for example, my freshman year, I was in resource room with three seniors. And a lot of those three seniors not only became good friends of mine and still are good friends of mine to this day, but they really helped me give me that confidence too and help me transition as a freshman student because they've been there, they've done that. But what Miss Schaefer did for me was incredible, and just how she was able to teach me to take things one step at a time, one thing at a time. So I'm a very slow learner, which you'll hear more about that soon. So just taking things one step at a time, one assignment at a time. If I was about to have a meltdown, she would sit down with me and we would talk about it. So her guidance, her amazing, just I'm trying to make sure I get the words right here because I try not to get emotional talking about her. But not only her guidance, but like like everything she did for me, giving me the advice and just saying, hey, like try this, try that. She put me in the right spots. And it just goes to show you just how much extra mileage she went the extra yard for me, if you will. And I'm very thankful for that. The final transition meeting in high school was to take my IEP and work into a 504 document, which is what colleges and universities accept as the legal working document of students with disabilities. My parents and I, when I was being recruited by Grand Valley State University, we met with the academic support team, as well as the academic support team at Michigan State to talk about a plan for my transition into those universities. And the director of each disability center they were both incredible. Dr. Liji, who I believe still continues to head up the disability center at Grand Valley State University. She was phenomenal to work with, helped me get my accommodations within a snap of a finger. And then the Resource Center for Persons with Disabilities, or RCPD at Michigan State, what they do for students with disabilities to make sure they get the accommodations they need to thrive and be successful in those classrooms is incredible. So I was very blessed with not just a great public school district to work with and be a part of, but just being a part of some two great, maybe in my opinion, two of the best universities and institutions in the state of Michigan when it came to accommodations and resource centers. So were there times though? Were there times though that I looked at my parents and said to them, I can't do this, I can't do that because it's too hard, it just never happened? Did I actually tell my parents one time I quit? Yeah, believe it or not, folks, I did tell my parents one time the words I quit. And I paid for that. But my parents have always told me that words like that should never exist in the dictionary because they're so negative. They're so negative that when we're saying to other people in life, it immediately brings that person down for a long, long time. But my parents told me to do one thing before I went to sleep every night. I said, look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself these questions. Did I give it my all today? Did I give 100% effort in everything I did in school today? Did I leave all my heart, passion, energy, and effort on the basketball court today? If I was not satisfied with how I did one day, the goal is to try to go back the next day, give 110%. And if I still wasn't satisfied, the goal is to go back the next day, give 120%. But my parents told me and taught me all these things because they want me to wake up and have regrets in life. That's the number one thing my parents taught me about in life is no regrets. No regrets in life. But because if we all have regrets in life, those regrets will eat at us each and every single day, and we will be brought down for the rest of our lives. So no regrets in life. Now, as I mentioned already, I have 3 kids, and I have a beautiful girlfriend who I've been dating for almost 2 years now. But here's the deal, though: just because I'm a father, just because I'm a motivational speaker, doesn't change one thing for me, and that's this: we're all going to face decisions in life. Decisions that can put so much pressure on all of us that sometimes we want to walk away from those decisions, walk away from those tough times, but not me. I'll tell you where I go. I go to my family because my family has been there. They've done that. So when my parents tell me no regrets in life, I always go back to them and ask for the help, advice, and guidance that I could possibly get from them because they've been there. They've done that. I'm 34 years old. I'm still not afraid to go to my mom, my dad, my grandmother, who's 93, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, my colleagues, and ask them, hey, I'm caught up in this, or hey, I'm doing this. What do you think I should do? And that's why I've always encouraged everybody to go out. And it doesn't matter if it's family, friends, colleagues, to advocate for yourself, to go out and ask for the help, advice, and guidance you need in life. No regrets in life. That's what my parents have always taught me. As this quote says here, in the end, we only regret the chances we didn't take. I'm always living by that quote. So again, it doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter where you go. Always ask for help, advice, and guidance, whether it's family, friends, colleagues, etc. Now, outside of family, there's another group that I hold a very, very special place in my heart. Not just for those in the state of Michigan, but for those throughout the entire country, and including my own staff at my own school, and that is teachers. I have a lot of love and respect for every teacher around the state of Michigan, around the country. Now, I'm not going to do a poll for this, but I just want you to think about it. And if you want to put it in the chat, feel free to. So when I came on today, and please be honest with me, I ask this question a lot. I tell people to be completely honest with me. And again, I'm not going to be offended by it. When I got on here and talked about my diagnosis, my autism diagnosis, who on here thought to themselves, well, there's no way. I don't see it. Like Anthony Ianni doesn't look like the quote unquote typical person with autism that has certain characteristics. Like if you thought that, go ahead and put in the chat. I just want to know your answers. But again, if you thought that, it's okay. I'm not offended by it because what you see is you see me in my element, if you will. You don't see me behind the scenes when I'm with friends and family who see it the most every day. But I'll still have those times where my characteristics being on the spectrum, you'll see them. But I've also told people too who don't understand or criticize me, who don't think I'm on the spectrum. First of all, I give them a little education in what autism is. I tell them that there's two ends of the spectrum. There's low functioning and high functioning, which is what I'm part of. And I've also told those folks like, hey, you really don't know me. Let's go have dinner. Let's go have breakfast, lunch, coffee, tea. I'm not a big coffee drinker, but I'll drink tea. Let's go get a soda. I'm not a big soda drinker, but for this conversation, I'll do it. And I tell folks all the time, I guarantee you will walk away from that conversation having a better understanding of who Anthony Ianni is on the spectrum. So my autism, I'm very black and white. What that means, you may say something to me. I'll take it the complete opposite. Growing up, I had a tough time understanding nouns, verbs, idioms, sarcasm, jokes. I'm better now than when I was 10 years ago, but I still have my struggles with it. For example, I'll use idioms here. So if you had told the 5-year-old me it's raining cats and dogs outside, here's what would have happened. So we all know on here raining cats and dogs means it's raining really hard outside. It's pouring down rain. You would have told the 5-year-old me that the 5-year-old me is running out my garage door right now, out to the front yard of my house, and having my hands out like this, hoping and praying that a cat or a dog is going to fall from the sky. That's how very literal I took things. My first grade teacher once used the phrase, she was living on cloud nine. She said this to the entire class because she was just so happy with how we were doing as a class that week. She was excited about our progress. So true story. Here's what I did. I got up out of my seat, went to the nearest window, opened that window, peeked my head out the window, looking around for cloud nine. And when I asked my teacher about it, she laughed about it and she told me what living on cloud nine means. It just means you're feeling really good. You feel great about things. I had a very difficult time with loud noises though growing up. Sports environments were way too much of an overload for me, and I barely attended MSU football and basketball games because as a young kid, it was because of the crowd noises, the buzzer on the scoreboard, the PA announcer in the stadium or in the arenas in Michigan State. And it was to the point where I put my head in my mom's lap, and that was too much. My mom took me out on the concourse area, which after that, it was even worse because there's a lot more commotion on the concourse. You got people going left and right. So I think a lot of those folks who saw me have meltdowns, they thought at that time I was probably just a spoiled little kid who didn't get his extra helping of popcorn or his melting moment ice cream cookie sandwich. I saw we have a Michigan State alum on here. So if you've been to those games, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's 2 chocolate chip cookies and vanilla ice cream in the middle. Best treat you will ever have if you ever go to Michigan State. So I barely attended those games because of the loud noises. Fire drills and tornado drills in schools were my absolute worst. Um, I could not stand the lights, could not stand the sounds, could not stand the bell going off. It was just way too much of an overload for me. So, how did I overcome these overloads? Well, obviously, number one here was my teachers, because my teachers followed my IE plans to the T every year. No matter what was in it, they followed it to the exact T. And if something worked in my IEP plan, they stuck to it. They didn't want to change anything because they knew if something's going to work, okay, great, cool, let's stick with it. Now, if something didn't work, they would work with my family to see what would. They would. So because this wasn't just a Greg or Jamie IE deal, this wasn't an Okemos Public Schools deal. This was a team. This was a team effort because that's what it takes in any part of life that you're part of. Whether you're part of a business, you're part of a school district, you whatever the case may be. If you're a part of like any sports team, it takes a team effort. It's not about one individual, unless it's an individual sport, but it's not about one individual thriving. It's a team effort. So here are some of the plans used from my IEP. Giving me a heads up on when fire drill days. For example, so I talked to you about the lights and the noises, hated it, couldn't stand it. So what my teachers did for me was in my IEP plan, it specifically stated that my teachers needed to give me the heads up on when fire drills were, the exact day and time. So if I walked in one day and we have a fire drill at 10 o'clock, my teacher would walk up to me first thing in the morning, I get to school and say to me, "Hey, Anthony, we have a fire drill at 10 a.m. today. Just letting you know, if you're scared, you can sit next to me at my desk, or if you're scared, I can sit next to you, whatever you're comfortable with." So being able to give me that heads up really helped prepare me. So I would just keep my eye on the clock. 10 o'clock hits, the alarm goes off, kind of jump in my seat, but then I follow protocol. When I got to high school, it's the same deal. Miss Schaefer or one of my other teachers said to me, "Hey, Anthony, just let you know the janitors, they're working on the wiring system today. It could trigger the fire alarm. So if you're walking, so just kind of head on a swivel today. Okay. Be on your toes. So if we're going in between classes, alarm goes off, I jump a little bit, but then I follow protocol." So giving me a heads up on fire drills and my IEP plans really helped me prepare and transition for drills. Timeouts or breaks in the hallway if I ever got stressed or felt an outburst not coming. So this was actually put in my IEP plan. So when I was in fourth grade, I easily had meltdowns. I would easily get frustrated, upset by certain things, whether I didn't get 100% of my spelling bee test, or if I raise my hand, if I have an answer, I'm trying to like, oh, me, but the other person next to me is just quiet the whole time, raising their hand. Teacher would call on them, I'd get upset. So, so one day, my fourth grade teacher, Mrs. Cott, so she could tell I was getting angry and upset. So she takes me in the hallway and we talk about it. And she goes, "Well, should this kind of be our timeout area, you and me?" I'm like, "Yes, but I don't want my classmates to know about it." She goes, "Okay, well, if you're going to get angry or upset, what would you like to do? How do you want to know? How do you want to inform me?" And I couldn't think. She goes, "Well, you watch sports, right?" I go, "Yeah, I do." She goes, do you know what signals are?" I mean, "Yes, I do." She goes, "Do you know what the signals are for timeouts in basketball?" I go, "Yeah." She goes, "Can you tell me what a long, like a full timeout is?" And a full timeout, you can't see all my arms, but it's like, you put your fist together and it's like this. She goes, "Okay, great. What's the signal for a short timeout?" This is a 30-second timeout. So she goes, "Okay, if you need a short timeout, tap your shoulders. Just raise your hand, tap your shoulders. If you need a long timeout, raise your hand and go like this." So that was in my IEP plan the next week because my teacher knew that that's what I was comfortable with. And that was our way of communicating, "Hey, I need a short timeout. Can I talk to you real quick?" So that was in my IEP plan. It worked. So being able to have those timeouts and breaks in the hallways, it really helped me just, okay, calm down, talk to Mrs. Cott, talk to her about what's going on, and we go from there. Test accommodations. So I started getting testing accommodations right around probably middle of my days in middle school, throughout high school, and in college. So here are some of the accommodations I got from for my test. I had extended time with my test because I didn't take my test as quickly as others, and being able to take my time and not having a time limit on it, it really helped me just take my time. I had a reader because there were certain words or phrases in those sentences that I got easily confused by. So being able to have that reader, read the question over 2 or 3 times, and for me to think about, okay, is this the same word as this? Does this mean the same? It helped me just take my time. I took my test in a separate room because if we all took a test here today and we were all in one room, I could not keep focus. I'd be more worried about, okay, what's so and so doing over here? What's so and so doing over there? What's so and so in the front doing? What's so and so doing in the back? So being able to have that enclosed environment to just focus on my test, it really, really helped me thrive. It really, really helped me um do the best I can on my test. I'm not going to sit here and say I was a great test taker. I wasn't, because I was not the greatest test taker. But when it came to other assignments and homework, I thrived in that. But test taking is where I really struggled. But having these accommodations, it really did help me the best that I can when it came to taking tests. All right, speech therapy. So I had a speech therapist twice a week from my kindergarten days till I was a junior in high school. And I can't begin to tell you how many times I threw fits going to speech when in elementary school because we'd be doing something fun in class and I'm going to speech. So I had it twice a week from my kindergarten days till my junior year of high school. And what my speech therapist did for me was they helped me by playing competitive games during my K through 5 years in elementary school. So my speech therapist knew that about my family history. She knew about my family history of athletes. So my dad was a baseball player at Michigan State. My mom was a three-sport All-American at Adrian College. She still holds like 9 records, has her jersey retired. I could go through all the accolades. My mom is a 5-time Hall of Famer at Adrian College. And how you get into the Hall of Fame 5 times at Adrian, any Hall of Fame, is beyond me. But to put it in terms you understand, my mom's pretty big time at Adrian College. And then my sister was a volleyball player at Michigan State. So they knew the family history of being competitive. So what did they do for me when it came to this? So we would play these games. So for example, Candyland, Mousetrap, Trouble, Jumanji, Shoots and Ladders. So, but here was the rules when we played these games. The rules were after you roll the dice, you cannot move your game piece until you've gotten the right noun, verb, or idiom question right. So, for example, if we're playing Candyland, in my opinion, one of my all-time favorites. My kids love playing with it, playing with Candyland. So if you draw, there's no dice in Candyland. There's cards, right? There's the color cards and the little figure cards. So if you draw the first card, and the first card just happens to be the ice cream cone, the ice cream cone is the closest to the finish line, okay? But say I got the noun, verb, or idiom question wrong. I can't even tell you how many times I threw a fit losing in a game of Candyland because I couldn't get the right question right. But what this did was it helped me. It helped me learn from my mistakes. It helped me learn about, okay, this is what this idiom meant. This is what's supposed to mean. This is what a verb is and the noun, et cetera, et cetera. So, and basically after that, when it came to speech therapists, or when I got older, it became more worksheets and memory cards than board games. But my speech therapist, when I was during my elementary years, was setting me up for the future. And she basically was like, okay, he loves being competitive. He hates to lose. So if he's going to lose, he needs to learn why. So what she did for me there was just incredible. Beyond thankful for her as always. All right, coping mechanisms I talked about earlier. So these are some of the coping mechanisms that I do. Going to the gym. Like I usually do these when I'm stressed out, when I'm feeling a meltdown coming on, when I just need to get away from the world. So some of the coping mechanisms I have, I'll go to the gym and shoot hoops for over 2 hours. Especially when I was in high school, if I was able to have that access to the high school gym, I grab my keys, my mom's keys, and just tell my mom I'm going to be gone for a little while. I'm just going to shoot. So I would just work on shooting free throws, my post moves, my dribbling, et cetera, because that was my happy place. That was my sanctuary to get away from the world. Going for a walk in my neighborhood, just putting in my earbuds, listening to music, and just not focusing on anything except just going on my walk. I will go work out and lift weights at the gym. I would listen to different kinds of music, which is what I also do on the walk. So if I'm in a good mood, I'm listening to exciting music. If I'm in a sad or upset mood or a mad mood, I'm listening to hard rock, like light hip hop, R&B, just things like that. Sit in silence in my room. Like I'll go upstairs to my bedroom sometimes or in the living room and just sit in complete silence because just having that silence of, okay, just getting away from everything. I don't want to think about anything. Being able to sit in silence, it really helps me just like kind of get back to things. And obviously, as I mentioned earlier, sit outside and listen to the sounds around me, sounds of nature, and just listen to, okay, what's going on? Listen to birds chirping. Because what's the purpose of coping mechanisms? Is to help you relax and take it easy. Just take a deep breath, get away from the stress for a minute, and then even if it's just the simplest thing, even if it's just 5 minutes of just sitting in silence, just not thinking about anything, regrouping, and then getting back to work. Because sometimes you got to take care of you. You got to take care of you up here sometimes. That's the one thing I've learned the most the last couple of years is that you got to take care of yourself sometimes. And the one thing I learned being a school administrator and that all my staff at Bio School told me is take that 10 minutes for yourself because you don't want to burn yourself out. So close that door and just do you. And then we'll see you in 10 minutes. So relax and take it easy. And teachers will always continue to teach. The biggest thing to overcome with transition is teaching a student to advocate for themselves. We can help them, but in the end, they know their struggles and they know when they need to ask for help. This is the one thing that I continue to tell our students every day at Bio School is that you need to advocate for yourself because you're the only person that knows you best. I don't know you best. I don't know what your strengths and weaknesses are, but you do. So if you need help, you need that extra advocate for yourself. You need extra help, advice, and guidance, come to us. And to utilize your resources, because if you utilize every single resource that's offered you or given to you, you will graduate college in 4 to 5 years. This is what Dr. Damon Arnold, my academic advisor, who's now at LSU, Louisiana State University, taught me. First day of college. Utilize your resources. And not just in college or school, but out in the real world. If you're at a job, utilize every single resource that your job can offer you or send you in the right direction to for you to be successful. I live by these mottos every day to advocate for myself no matter what, so I can be the best school administrator I could be the best advocate I could be, but also utilizing resources that are going to help me be the best that I can be. I'm not going to get too much into this because I know time wise, but my coaches were a big part of my life. Up here, right here in the upper left hand corner is my varsity coach Dan Stoltz. Right here behind him is Carter Briggs, who was my post coach. Burt Paddock, who recruited me to go to Grand Valley State University, and this man right here, Tom Izzo. What some of these guys did for me was incredible. How did they help me transition? As a basketball player, as an athlete, they would walk through drills and plays with me. So we would just stand off to the side and watch the drill take place, and then I would partake in the drill. And if I had any questions, they always encouraged me to never be afraid to ask questions. And we repeated the same process with plays and play calls too. If I was confused, I step off to the side. I watch the plays with them. And as I mentioned, they encouraged me to never stop asking questions if I was ever confused with something because it also showed them that I cared. It cared that I want to be the best I could be. It cared I want to help the team. And they got to know me. What made me click? What didn't make me click? Luckily, Coach Stoltz knew me from when I was a kid because his son Scott and we went to school together, so he really knew about me a lot. Burt Paddock, who recruited me to go to Grand Valley State, talked to my parents nonstop about who I was, talked about me on the spectrum, how he could help. And Coach Izzo has known me since I was a kid. So he knew everything and more about me. But it took a lot of time and effort and energy on both their part and mine to make it work because if they were going to help me, I had to invest the time and energy and effort to help them as well because they couldn't just do it alone on their own. So again, team effort. It's about being one unit. I'm not going to get into this too much, but Coach Izzo is one of the best guys that I know. And the one thing that I love about Coach Izzo is he's not just an X's and O's guy. He's not just a coach, basketball coach. He's more than that. He's maybe one of the best human beings that I know who's not my father. And what he does for Michigan State University, what he does for teachers, staff, students, custodian workers, what he does for everybody involved from Michigan State, he puts everybody there before himself because he knows Michigan State's bigger than him. It's not just about him. It's about Michigan State. And he's always prepped guys like myself to get ready for the real world. So I told my teachers today, because they always want to know, well, what's Tom Izzo like? And I always say, I learned more about him as far as character and respect than probably the X's and O's piece, because that's what he wants out of his guys. He wants his guys to be great in the real world. Even guys who don't go pro. He's always challenging us to go out and make a difference in our communities. And he challenged me on day one with that when it came to the autism community. I am beyond thankful for that. And I'm forever grateful for everything he's done for me, and I always will be. So I kind of talked about my relationship with Coach Izzo a little bit more. And the one thing I've always loved about Coach Izzo, and it's the last thing I'm going to say about him, and I'll get to my final piece here, and then we'll open up for Q&A. When I met with him when I transferred, the first thing he said to me was, look, here's the deal. Just because you have autism doesn't mean I'm going to treat you any differently. I'm going to coach you how Magic Johnson was coached here. I'm going to coach you how Jason Richardson was coached. I'm going to coach you how these guys were coached. And that's all I ever wanted. I wanted to be someplace where I was going to be coached and treated like everybody else. And he provided me that opportunity because he was not going to let me just, I don't want to say, he wasn't just going to let me like have different opportunities that other guys were getting. He was going to provide me those same opportunities as everybody else, but it was going to be harder to get, just like every other player. And I'm beyond thankful for this man. I really, really am. And I know as a player, it was not only an honor to play for Michigan State, but it was even more of an honor to play for him. So motivation, hard work, and support are the three keys to be successful in life. Just a couple quick housekeeping notes before I get to my final message here. My book titled Centered Autism Basketball One Athlete's Dream is available on Amazon, iupress.com, Goodreads, Barnes and Nobles, and Schuler's books. So you heard a little bit about my life today, but my book, I provide more in detail about my life. For example, I have my IP evaluations in my book because my co-author asked me what I thought about it. At first, I was very hesitant. And then he told me to sleep on it. And then I didn't sleep on it because I called him back 20 minutes after he called me. And I said, okay, let's do it. So there's a lot more details in my life regarding my life in this book. I hope you all check it out and read it. And you might learn a little bit more about me when it comes to the IEP plans as well. Anybody interested in purchasing my own shirts? I have right here on the left, I have a personal favorite of mine, made in East Lansing. East Lansing is where Michigan State is, but as us former athletes like to call it, Beast Lansing. So I made that shirt, and obviously a game changer shirt. Being a game changer in life. That's why I made that shirt as well. So if you're interested, please go to nudgeprinting.com. And the last message I want to leave here with everybody today is before I open up for Q&A is this. If there's anybody on here that has dreams or goals in life, you need to be relentless each and every single day and attack those dreams and goals in life. We don't just sit back waiting for our dreams and goals in life to come to us. We don't just pray and hope that they come to us. That's not how life works. That's the lazy approach. Don't take the lazy approach. You got to go get your dreams and goals in life. You got to go get them and be relentless in everything that you do in your life. Be relentless when you go to sleep, when you wake up, when you go to work, when you work out, whatever it is in life. And circle back to your whys in life. Why do you do what you love to do? Be relentless for your whys in life. I know I'm relentless every day for my kids. I'm relentless every day for 5.5 million people with autism. And I am relentless for our staff and students at BOW. And I always will be. So be relentless and go get your dreams and goals in life, folks. You got to go get them because at the end of the day, we don't dream our lives. At the end of the day, we live them. So I will go ahead. Kirsten, if you want to open up the Q&A, let's go ahead and let's do it.
Great. Thank you so much, Anthony. How inspiring your story and all the quotes and everything that you ended with, especially. I don't see any questions in the chat right now, but we'll open it up. So now we'll have time for Q&A. So if you have any questions for Anthony about his story, his life, his experience, please feel free to type those in the chat or the Q&A. We will be happy to facilitate them. And then while we're allowing everyone that time to do that, I'm going to go ahead and put the link to the follow-up survey in the chat right now. So that way it's ready for you when we close out today, if you would like to go ahead and take it. And then I did put Anthony's slides in the chat as well, if you would like to download those as a PDF. We'll give everyone some time. They might be typing. I don't see any questions, Anthony. So, is there any last remarks that you'd like to share? And if anyone does have any questions following today's session, you can feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my email in the chat, and I'm happy to direct those to Anthony following today's webinar.
No, other than that, Kirsten, all I'm gonna say is, happy holidays to everybody. Hope you all have a wonderful holiday season and enjoy the time with friends and family.
Yes, as we've learned today, those friends are important, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I don't see anything in the chat. I don't want to keep you, Anthony, or anyone else longer. So we will go ahead and close out. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. We appreciate it, and we will see you on our next Autism Training and Technical Assistance Project webinar, which will be in December. Let me go ahead and put the link to that in the chat here if you would like to register for it. It will be on December 12th about confronting organizational ableism. So we are excited to hear from T. Franklin on that topic. So here's the registration if anyone would like to go ahead and register for that webinar in December. And thank you so much, everyone, for your time. We'll go ahead and close out. Have a great rest of your Tuesday.
Bye, everyone.